Hello, everybody. I know many people have heard about the untold story about the Armenian genocide. There are lots of other people that haven't heard about it. I want to talk about it today to make sure um, that we do understand, and this is not only an understanding issue, but this is also an issue that we should all follow and do our own research about the Armenian genocide. The genocide, the untold story, and the story that has not been told yet, the truth so far. Why did it take place? Who were the organizers? We've had these programs in the past in the Armenian channel, in the conferences, but today I will talk about this because it's very important for each one, individual ones, to understand, at least the Armenians, to understand what really took place during the genocide or before the genocide. Who were the organizing powers and why did it happen? Often Christianity is criticized, but it's a false connotation. Christianity was not responsible, or we were not massacred, or our genocide didn't take place because we were Christians. Christianity is the scapegoat. They blame on Christianity on everything, but there is more to it that the global elite didn't want us or don't want us to find out through our historians, through our history. They still keep it quiet. And that's why they don't talk about it. That's why they infiltrate different ideologies. They tell false history. They tell us everything but the truth. Unfortunately, the mainstream Armenian historians, they have not told us the truth. And it is about time to speak the truth. And I know many historians, many people get upset when I speak about this, but I want to go back from history, how and why the Armenian genocide was organized, that the world still does not recognize until today. Small parties of the world recognize it, which means nothing. Small cities recognize it, which means nothing. They throw the white powder on our eyes. Oh, California recognized it. New York recognized it. It really means nothing, people. Let's be honest right now. It really means nothing unless we're told the history. Majority of Armenians, when they get up, April 24th, which is very soon, month in few weeks, majority of the Armenians, when they get up to march for the genocide, they don't know why the genocide took place. They only hear Turks massacred us. Well, it is true. Turks, Circassians, unfortunately I will say names, young Turks were not all, majority were not even Turks, Kurds and etc. They took part killing Armenians and deporting our families out of our homeland. The whole connotation, the whole ideology was, it was a fight against the Armenian identity, Armenian identity and Armenian individualism, Armenianism. It was against the Armenian orientation. That's the thing, that's the part they lack explaining. It was a war against our orientation. And the war was between the forces of darkness, who organized it way before 1915, starting from 1700s. They were pre-planning to create the Turkish nationalism in Western Europe. In Western Europe, listen to it very carefully. When we talk about Europe is civilized, they basically, the European Hungarians created PanTurkism. I know some historians will say, where do you get your information from? That's not academic. Well, so far, what most of you have explained and lied to our people is not academic. I'm sorry. It's a lie. What's academic? Whatever is accepted by Zionism, is that what academic is? Or created, just like our school systems here, is basically a falsification of education. So let's see where PanTurkism started from. And I want to, you could do your own research, you could do book research, you could do internet research, you could do archive research. As an Armenian, every one of you, and as a human being, every one of you, you're required to do your own research to find out what really took place. So the Zionist Jews who founded the idea of Turkish nationalism. Before Turkish nationalism took birth, the word Turk in history was basically derogatory. If you wanted to insult somebody, even in Ottoman Empire, the word Turk meant insult. When you called somebody you're a Turk in the Ottoman Empire, it was an insult to that person. Many of you maybe haven't heard about this, but that's the true history of it. But then Zionist Jews who founded the Turkish nationalism, which is called PanTurkism, and I will say number one, PanTurkism was first called for in the 1860s by Hungarian Zionist named Armenian Weberi. The first person who called and came up with it was the Pan-Turkish ideology. Our worst enemy actually is Pan-Turkism, which is the Turkish nationalism that was created to steal our homeland, to oppress us, to steal our orientation, and basically massacre and genocide us. So, number one, it was used back in 1860 by a guy named Armenian Weberi, which was a Hungarian Zionist Jew. And it said, but who secretly worked for the Lord Palmerston and British Foreign Office. It was a British agent. And we often see the British dirty hand in our genocide, dirty hand in the planning of our genocide. Now, British are stealing Armenian gold from Armenia. Even though we blame the government, it's the British, it's the prince, the genocidal, the murderer, Prince Charles, who has a deep hand in our gold and stealing Armenians' gold. So, Weberi later tried to broker a deal between the Zionism and leader Theodor Herzl and Sultan over the creation of Israel. So the whole, so people can call me whatever they want to, but because I said something today on the Facebook announcement I made about Pan-Turkism, I said Pan-Turkism was responsible for our genocide, and they were not killing Armenians because they were Armenians. They were killing Armenians because we were Armenians. We have to go to the basic. It was not because we were Christians who were killed. We were killed. We were deported because because we were Armenians. It was a genocide on our identity and our orientation. That's why we don't have rights right now. Armenians don't have rights. We depend on Russia, and majority of Armenians, when you talk, they tell you, well, if we don't have Russia, we will be attacked by Turkey. Well, you see, because we don't have orientation. Our orientation, we have orientation, but we don't even know our orientation. Our rights have been stolen by the West and the East, and it's been handicapped. That's why when you see the Armenian coat of arms, you see the eagle and the lion in chains. Basically, they silenced us. We have no right to talk. That's what they did. And when you look at those coat of arms, when you look at logos, you have to understand the connotation and the meanings behind it. It's very important for everyone to study these things. To some so-called academians who are deep in conspiracy themselves, call us conspiracy theorists because they haven't done their thorough historic research, unfortunately. They've done Zionist historic research, which is limited what to talk, and it is limited what to specifically say, and they call us names. But it's okay. Number two, Jewish French writer Leon Chion, who formed the propagate Pan-Turkism in his book. Well, this individual also didn't write about when Talat Pasha used to live in France, in Western Europe, France, and they were approached by the Western Zionist powers in order to create and to basically promote Turkish nationalism. And I said earlier, if you heard, Turkish the word Turkish was an insult, even in Ottoman Empire. It was not accepted. You know, if you wanted to scare somebody, if you wanted to insult somebody, all you had to tell that person is, you're a Turk. And that was basically cursing like his mother or father, whatever. It's the worst curse it was. So, Young Turks, in October 1843, 12 German Jewish immigrants met in New York. Listen to me. New York, Lower East Side, to help others themselves, pooling their ideas and their funds. They founded what would become the most enduring service organization for the Zionist identity in the United States is named B'nai B'rith. A lot of Armenians, children of covenant, that's what it means. A lot of Armenians that they used to tell me, they told me they want to give charity to B'nai B'rith. I said, are you crazy or what? You're talking about an organization who specifically created the Young Turks, Committee Ittihadi Veteraki, Committee of the Union, who was a secret organization based on was created by B'nai B'rith secret organization that organized our genocide. You're donating to that? They didn't even have idea what it is. They think it was a charity for the poor and all that. Well, B'nai B'rith, it was major orchestrator of our genocide. It was major orchestrator to steal the Armenian rights, to attack the Armenian orientation, and to kill the Armenians, not only Christians, Armenians specifically. So later on, the same liberals, the same people that took part in organizing our genocide, they told us, in order to basically push us away from completely our identity, they told our children of our genocide, you were massacred because you were Christians. No, we were massacred. We were deported. We were basically kicked out because the only reason, because we were Armenians. That's it. No other reason. We don't need to be enemies of other religions. We need to understand that we were massacred because of our identity. Armenians are assimilated throughout the world because that's the continuation of the genocide. We have an independent republic. We can't even have our rights. Our government can't even decide on its own. And no matter who replaces it, cannot decide on its own. What to decide, what to do, is based on either the West, NATO, which is another North Atlantic terrorist organization, which is another satanic organization. They're all basically controlling Armenia. The East and the West, Lion and the Wing and the Eagle, they're both handicapped in our coat of arms. That means Armenians have no voice. Armenians have no say-so in anything. That's what the government doesn't. We're being used. So here it is, press. I'm not going to read all that, so I'm going to go to explaining the B'nai B'rith, because that was the organization that created it, finally, the Young Turks. The B'nai B'rith, sometimes spelled out B'nai B'rith, likes to pass itself as being societies whose motto, the people of helping, charity organization. That's what they like to do. You might ask people helping people to do work. Anyways, Emmanuel Crusoe. Does that name sound to you Turkish? No, it's not a Turkish name. It's a Western name. It's an Italian name, people. Emmanuel Crusoe, lawyer of Jewish Italian B'nai B'rith official, was the founder of the Young Turks. Anybody, any historian wants to debate, wants to refute, let's make a meeting, let's talk about it. If you don't want to tell the truth, then you're lying, because that was the founder of the Young Turks, the Committee of Union Ittihadi Veteraki, who organized the Armenian genocide by lying to our even leaders, saying that we will free you from Ottoman Empire. Well, to be honest with, Armenians were not that good, were not living that good in Ottoman Empire. We understand that, we agree with that. But after 1860s, after 1860s, the decision of the PanTurkism, the creation of nationalism of PanTurkism, it became worse. The Sultan, the Hamidian massacre. Did you guys know it was not only Turks that took part or Kurds took part? It was worse than that. I mean, I can read to you if we go on. So according to the paper Hamids, many Jews joined with Mohammedans. You can even see this in writer Arun Yon, who's Israeli and pretty good historian, who wrote about this in a Benetali of Indifference, the Armenian genocide and Zionism, and he was a Jewish writer who spoke the truth actually. So he even says in the history what took place, and the truth will not hurt if we tell the truth, So the Mohammedans to strike against Armenians. It seems that the article can be read in only one way: rejoicing the ridiculous of tragedy of Armenians. Now they will be able to take the place of Armenians in economic and commercial activities. Page 146, 147. This was written in newspaper Hamelitz. Back then I'm talking about, according to the newspaper, that they said now the Armenians that are being massacred, now the Jews can take its place. People, wake up. It doesn't say now that Christians are being massacred, they're gone. It says the Armenians. The connotation and the mark is about the Armenians. Let's wake up. Armenians have given so much civilization to this world. So much to this world. Now we're being bombarded. Every time in the United States there is some crime, Armenian involved, you have to see the name of the guy, this so and so. But if somebody else is involved, no, you don't see the name. It's racism. But when it's Armenian, you will see specifically the name of Armenian. Don't you see the children of darkness have been attacking us all those years? We can't even survive in our own nation, in our own homeland, because we're under attack, because they have stolen our rights. They have stolen our, in Armenian they say, iravuknere. They have stolen our coat of arms. They have stolen our lands. And it's not about only Turks. It's not about only Turks. There is a history behind it. Ottomans didn't wake up. You know, back then they used to call Ottomans. Now they call the Turks. As I said, because the word Turkish was insult. It wasn't accepted in society. So all of a sudden it became nationalism. So the founder of Young Turks was a Jewish Italian B'nai B'rith. Caruso set up the Young Turks secret society in 1890s. In Salonika, most of the Young Turks were in fact Jews. Anybody wants to debate? They were crypto Jews, dolmens. They were Sephardim Zevi Jews, specifically. And back in 1066, you can read about Sephardim Zevi who proclaimed to be the Jewish Messiah. And the sect itself, it was a cult, which was major. They were living in Salonika, so you know. The Turkish and Pan-Turkism ideas, Wimmer Gus Kemper, 1950, in his book Turkey, A Past and Future, 1917. So all those books I'm saying, you can go find out the truth behind it. But the real reason the Turkish Revolution was determined, the Sultan was Jewish. The Jews used Freemasonry as a tool. Listen to me. Jews used Freemasonry as a tool, while the Freemasonry was itself in the hands of the Jews. The center of revolt was at Salonika, where a majority of population was actually Jewish. So the Emmanuel Crusoe used the Masonic Lodge, Macedonia Resorta, for the secret meeting of Committee of the Union and Progress. And when Sultan Abdul Hamid was deposed, Crusoe was one of the 4 men who went in to tell the Sultan that his reign was end. Committee of the Union and Progress firmly seated itself to settle the government with Muhammad V. Puppet Sultan. The minister for the interior of this regime was Talat Bey. And you know the names. I'm not going to tell you all the names one by one. They were all specifically, people would refute, people would disagree, people would curse, people would say that's discrimination, that's racism, that's anti-Semitism. But the truth in the history shall be told. It shall be told without fear, without anger, without anything. We shall speak the truth, people, and the truth will set our orientation free. Believe me, only the truth will. But if we're scared from the academic circles, from Zionism, that we are going to be labeled, then we need to forget our race and become something else. Or we have to fight and liberate our orientation. Otherwise, you know, right now, it's a very, very dangerous time. Turkey can attack Armenia through Nakhichevan. Believe it or not, their basic troop infiltration in Nakhichevan. They're taking over Nakhichevan. And we are fighting among each other. Who's going to be the president? We are cursing at each other. We are demonstrating at each other. And when April 24 comes, we are going to get up and say, Barkai, Barkai, Michevich. But we're losers. We're losers. Because we don't see the truth. And the truth we need to speak. We're losing this, unfortunately. And I'm saying it by sad face. Armenians, wake up. Our end is near. Our orientation is under occupation. Our country is under occupation. All you need to do is look at the coat of arms of Armenia. The lion and the eagle. They're in handicap. They're in handcuffs. They can't speak because Russia, NATO, Israel, or United States can make a decision on our behalf. We're nothing for them. But we don't wake up, unfortunately. Because we believe in a lying sect of historians who get up and lie and tell us April 24th happened because they wanted to kill Christian Armenians. What about the Yazidis they killed? What about the Muslim Kurds they're killing right now? The same PanTurkists. I'm not praising Kurds. What about the less people they killed? What about the Hamshen, which became earlier than 1800s? Hamshen Muslims became Muslims way before, but they were under attack because they were Armenian. So of course, they try to Turkify us, Islamize us, because our heritage had deep sealed with independent ideology of Christ, not the religion. Not the religion, the individualism. It was a war against individualism. Okay? They took our guns after 1873 meeting in Berlin because they talked about peace. What's going on in the United States today? There is all of a sudden a war on guns. They want to take our weapons away. Who's doing it? Is it the Christians? Do you see history is repeating itself now in the United States? They want to take the guns away to massacre people here. The government wants to kill people here. All intellectuals, all free thinkers, all righteous people, they want to kill them. All individual Christians, they want to kill them. Not the religion, the individuals who refute the unnecessary and demonic laws that are being passed in the United States. Liberalism itself is satanic. So, but I'm not going to talk about that today. But Young Turks were liberals again, national liberals. They were extreme liberals, the same powers. The Minister of Interior, I can give you the names. Over the names, you can study the names. Who were they? So here, during the First World War, Caruso became food controller of Constantinople. When you become a food controller, what do you do? You control the food. You starve people. And then you know what? What's funny? What's interesting? Not funny. I'm sorry for the word. When Armenians were massacred, when Armenians were deported in the desert, and they were being led by soldiers, Ottoman soldiers, you can read Venezuelan general, his book. I forgot his name. I'm sure I have it in my library. I forgot his name. Under the Crescent. That's the name. General Raphael. That was his name. I haven't read his book for a long time. He talks about, because he was one of the Ottoman generals from Venezuela, actually, and he said the Ottoman soldiers were not the ones who were killing the deportees who were being walked hungry, starving in the desert. It was the Circassians, the Kurds, the Young Turks. Those were the powers that were taking them and killing them in the desert, raping them, Kurdifying them, and butchering them. You know, let's be honest. Honesty is the best policy, after all, if we're going to talk about it, you know. We need to be honest what's really took with ourselves. And stop lying to our people on April 24th to get up and only chant. What? It's April 24th for every day for us. Our future generation has to battle the unseen powers. Because April 24th is just happening right now in Armenian communities all over United States, in Syrian communities all over Syria. Everywhere it's happening, April 24th. But our future generation has been brainwashed to talk about only one day, gather in Hollywood where they do drugs, not our generations, but the Hollywood where there is drugs, sunset, and they want to basically march one day, 2 hours, chant in the air in the United States when we know there is no results. That's not how we fight. And then in Armenian they say, Gsparen mez uje merabaka serunderun uje, Gsparen, gdadargen. Like this. We're not going to get nowhere like that. Each Armenian needs to sit down at home, utilize the internet power, the books, and research and stop believing to those lying sack of historians that lied to us all these years. American or Armenian, I'm sorry. There are very few Armenians who are telling the truth. And those they say that we died, especially, you see what happened? Now they attack Christianity, Christian identity in us, in order to further take us into liberalism, which is complete assimilation, destruction of the family. Armenian identity is built on a family. Without the identity of family, we can't be erased, we can't be united, we can't understand the ideology of being Armenian. So, I'm going to read through the result of research in the library, and rather frustrating. I waded through the Indais books, 19th and 20th century Ottoman, Turkish and Jewish history I could get, as well as encyclopedia, but it seems the Emmanuel Crusoe, while he used to be a quite important person during his time, he faded into obscurity. Now I found him mentioned in a German lexicon from the late 1920s when he was still alive, but the article was very short. Werk did not offer any information further. I located the biography in Encyclopedia Judaica. Ամեն ինչ բահած են ուրիշներեն կդան Judaica. Ինչի համար հրեական encyclopedia-ի մեջ միրլա, եթե ինքը հրեական սկզբունք չունի. If he doesn't have I'm not even going to repeat it. Let's read it now. Turkish lawyer and a politician, born in Salonika, Crusoe lectured on criminology at the University of Salonika. He was one of the prominent figures in the Young Turk movement. Italian? What does it have to do with Turks? In the movement, to which he gave considerable material support. After the Young Turks seized power in 1908, Crusoe was elected deputy for Salonika in Turkish parliament and headed the committee, organization which informed Sultan Abdulhamid for his deposition. He was member of parliamentary commission in 1912, which negotiated a treaty of Uchi consulting peace with Italy. You get the point. He was advisor to the Turkish government during World War I, and recognition of his services was granted license to export Turkish goods to Germany. You never hear this. You only hear Germans took part in our genocide. You never hear these stories. You never hear anything that is connected to Zionism. You never hear all these true stories. So, when Kemal Atatürk came to power in 1923, Crusoe fell into disfavor and his fortune was confiscated. He lived his last days in penury in Italy and died, which is natural death. He should have been assassinated. He was the main head who organized the Young Turks, who organized our genocide. So I can go on with these historic evidences. And we need to wake up, because if somebody says we weren't killed because we were Christians, study it. Yeah, we weren't killed because we were Christians. That was not the reason why. We were killed only because we were Armenians. That's it. And if you study Armenian history gave birth to Western civilization. Western civilization was living in dark ages when Armenians knew about equality. They stole everything we had. And they basically infiltrated their own dark ideologies in our future generations through Arabians, through Soviet Union, through any other means. They destroyed our mentality, unfortunately. So that's what happens. The extent which Jews were involved in Young Turk Revolution is debate, some arguing that Jews and Domes dominated Committee of Union and Progress, which gained control of the state. Well, I will tell you one thing. Armenians were basically in the Ottoman Empire back then, were the head of the education, finance, trade. Armenians were in Istanbul, were living very high places. They were the controllers of everything. They had to destroy the intellectuals of that Ottoman of the empire in order to destroy it. I'm not praising the Ottoman Empire, don't get me wrong, in order to destroy it, and in return to create state of Israel. And that's the truth. Nothing else. Armenians were sacrificed in order to create state of Israel. And many Armenians, many Christians who don't know the history, they would say this guy is anti-Semitic. This is history, nothing more. This is nothing but history. And I believe in Christ, and I believe not every Jew knows about his history, and I believe it's the elite level. It's those that control even their own people, their own religion. In all times, they used to call them Pharisees who oppressed the Jews. They're called Sadducees who threw rocks and killed innocent people. They're the same powers who are controlling. And the same Pharisees, the same Sadducees controlled our genocide. Just because they wanted to destroy our orientation. But our orientation, I have one question. In the 101 churches of Ani, until today, there are Turkish guards standing. You cannot talk about Armenian identity around there. Until today, the NATO nation put a control. Why? The place is disappeared. The place is basically decimated. It's been destroyed. Why? Because there is a sense of civilization. There is a sense of identity. There is a sense of spirit living there. The Armenian spirit living there that they have silenced. And they have deported us. They have assimilated us into this liberalism, into this communism, which destroys our families. That's what it is. That's the essence of it. So I want to read this to you and finish it. And I hope you understand. This is not. I'm not here to play racism. Just because this has not been taught into these academic schools in histories levels, it doesn't mean it's not true. You can do your own research. And I read to you from Encyclopedia of Judaica. They accepted it. Why? I mean, if you read a few books from their own sources, you will see what we're saying is you read the book Kabbalah, the blueprint, Kabbalah, and go into that has nothing with the Armenian genocide, but that book explains all the tribes of them. It talks about the Young Turks. Who were they? And the author is a very big philosopher and historian. So what are we? Are we not supposed to quote from their sources also? Are we supposed to be scared of it? It's enough that they are playing us only from one April 24 to another April 24. California accepted Artsakh. Maryland Street is going to be named Artsakh. They're keeping us in our sleeps. Enough. When are we going to wake up? They're putting a pillow, soft pillow. Oh, they accept it right now. Artsakh is going to be the name of, major victory. What victory? Our soldiers are dying every day. Our soldiers are in danger every day. Azerbaijan, which is another creation of Young Turks, Ittihadis. They're falsifying their history. They're bombarding us all over the world, in the United States, in Los Angeles, right under our nose. And Zionist Jews are praising them every day in their newspapers and discriminating against us, we have no right to speak? Our population is dying in prisons here. Our population in the United States dying from drug addiction, depression. We have no right to speak. We have no right to protect our identity. And overall, when we speak the truth, we're attacked by so-called Zionist Armenians. You're trash. I had a person write to me a few days ago. He's proud Zionist Armenian. I'm not Armenian, but he is. You know what? Enough is enough. We're going to fight back. And if it takes few of us to fight back, we are going to fight back. We don't worship Russian imperialism. We don't worship NATO terrorism. We don't worship Israeli Zionism. We worship Christ alone, and we will rebuild our temples, our homes, and our liberation will come through our orientation. We will rebuild our rights, and we will organize and liberate ourselves. That's the truth. We are going to do that. All we need is few strong-hearted young Armenians who believe in the future of freedom, individualism, not Hegelian dialectic system. They are vaccinated. We don't object to their laws here. They throw our kids in public schools with masses, and then they inject them with 80, 90 vaccination, and there are those bozo idiots, Armenian idiots, not all, that they say they're doing for our protection. You're drugged up, dude. I'm sorry. You're basically drugged up. Wake up. Or you come from a communist country, you don't even know the meaning of it because you're used to it. You're numb. Your brain is numb. Wake up. So I'm going to read this to you and finish it, because it's a long writing, but I'm not going to read everything. So the extent of which Jews were involved, okay? Other argues that this was anti-Semitic rhetoric. See? Oh my God. In my videos when I talk about this in YouTube or TV, this is anti-Semitism. What's anti-Semitic? What's anti-Semitic? If I'm anti-Semitic, why don't I hate Arabs? Why do I talk to Arabs? Why do I protest for Syria? They're Arabs. Why do I have non-Zionist Jewish friends? They're Jews. So those are words basically used to silence us, to basically put fear in us, saying that don't speak. No, we are going to speak. We're not scared of labels. My rehab has been raided. I've been kicked out of courts, kicked out of county jail for helping people because I was basically Armenians went and complained to, saying that he's anti-Semitic. Armenians, yes, you heard it right. No other races, because they thought they were doing the right thing, But those things don't scare me. Don't scare me. We are losing our dignity and our lands. Հայրենիք մունիկ որ մեր ցերքեն պիտի երթա։ Եվ ոչ Ամերիկան մեզ պիտի ազատե, ոչ ալ Ռուսաստանը մեզ պիտի ազատե։ Երկուքը նա Թուրքին լավ զենք կուտանգոր։ Լավ կզինեն գոր։ Թուրքիան գսեն որ մի քանի տարի առաջ պիտի փլզվեր։ Թուրքիան ավելի կզորանա գոր։ Թուրքիան վաղ ամիսօր Հայաստանի վրա պիտի հարձակվի։ Ինչ կխոսենք որ։ Եվ մենք կգարձենք որ մենք ամեն զենք ունենք, ռուսը մեզ պիտի օգնե։ Ոչ մեկ բան ամեն մեկը պիտի չնե մեզ։ Սուտ բաներ մի խոսիկ այլևս։ Կպավե ավադակ։ Մեր ազատագրությունը մեր ուժի մեջ է, մեր օրիենտեշնի մեջ է, մեր աբակա սերունդներու քաղաքակրթված ideology-ի մեջ է, մեր աբակա սերունդներու ասկային ոգու մեջ է, ասկայնության մեջ է։ Եթե Թուրքը իրավունք ունի nationalist ունենալու, մենք իրավունք ունենք nationalism ունենալու։ When Erdogan gets up and introduces kids, Erdogan, Turkey, the second largest NATO nation, military, accepted by NATO, it's so-called Western ideology, but it's Zionism. It's Turkified. It's pro-Turkey. So if he gets up and introduces 2 kids, girls, that they will die for their land, don't we have the right to say, we will die for our land? And we will not take your orders. Where is it? Իրավունք չունենք, հոն է հեղափոխական հոգին, որ մեր նախկինները արտնցան եւսին կփավե այլևս։ Կփավե այլևս մեզ ստրուկության դակ փերիկ, արևմուտքի եւ արևելքի մեջ փաժանեցիք Ժամանակ եկա որ բայկարինք եւ բայկարեցան։ Did they win? Of course they won. Our existence, մեր քոյադեվությունը իրենց հաղթանակն է։ Բայց այսօր չունենք այդ հաղթանակը, որովհետեւ կգորինք կոր։ Կորած են 60%-ը Միացյալ Նահանգներու 60% of Armenian generation here is either on antidepressive drug, cocaine, heroin, I mean, you know, or under the influence of liberalism, thinking everything is okay. As long as they use the word genocide tomorrow. And what is that going to gain? Nothing. Nothing. It's not going to gain nothing for us. You know what's going to gain something? If we unite, one, and we revolt against world globalism, and we basically protest against all those liars, genocidal, depressive people, governments who have used us. So the choice is ours. We can choose what we're going to do. I had to do this because, you know, and I didn't talk about everything either. I didn't say everything. In 1908, the Committee of Union and Progress, better known Young Turks, carried out military coup to overthrow Sultan and took over Ottoman Turkish Empire. Once in power, they carried out a racist campaign of support of all non-Turkish minorities. They say, it doesn't say all Christians. It says against all non-Turkish minorities, specifically. All. Majority were Armenians, and we were Christians. We think it was Christianity. Christianity exists. Nothing is wrong with it. All Armenians. Hamshen Armenians were massacred. Christian Armenians, Muslim Armenians, Kurdified. Any Armenian that was even headed under curse, they were looking for it to kill. And from 1923 all the way to the recent years, 5 years ago, it was illegal. It was a shame to be Armenian in a country of NATO country called Turkey. Where it was the West End. They were playing us for the genocide. Didn't they know it was illegal to speak Armenian in Turkey? It was Turkification process going on against our ancestors, against the remnants of our ancestors. We didn't even know, right? All we did was get up. 1915, never again. Those slogans. Meaningless slogans. So, 1915 is happening every day. And 1915 started 1860. Before that. It didn't start 1950. So within 4 years, their anti-minority campaign provoked the Balkan War and on. Within 7 years of coming in power, Young Turks destroyed the Ottoman Empire, British intelligence. Listen to me. Their aim was to destroy the Ottoman Empire for what? Because they had to get rid of number one heads, who were the Armenians, in order to replace with their Tohmes in power and then create a state of Israel. Wake up, people. That was the war about. And now the war in Middle East is about nothing. It's not about gold. It's not about oil. It's not about nothing. It's all about one thing: creating the Kissinger plan, the Kissinger plan of Greater Israel. Nothing more. That's it. It's all about that. Where is our rights? Where will Armenians be? Armenians will be on a begging term, taking orders and begging them, give us our rights, give us our lands, give us, oh, we have paper, now we're going to get Western Armenia. Well, when the time comes, oops, sorry guys, war broke, it's not going to happen. With paper, we're not going to get nothing. Nothing. We need to organize our future generations to liberate our identity. Being Armenian is not being shamed. We need to be proud we're Armenians. Not like this. Proud we're Armenians. We have to be proud we're nationalists. We have to be proud we're Christians. That's my take. Until next time, God bless you all.